This is it. This is where it happened. I was 11 years old. And I came here with my cousin, my other cousin, her boyfriend that she wasn't supposed to be here with, right? And then I came with a couple other friends that I didn't know. I was just visiting from Philadelphia, Dunkirk, New York for the summer. I begged my mom to let me come, you know. In the end, it ended up being pretty memorable for the wrong reasons, you know. And there was a sign like no lifeguard on duty. It was August 1995. And it was warm and it was nice, but it had rained the day before heavily. So you know how sometimes the beach can have stronger waves the next day. So I don't know how to swim. Didn't know then. But, you know, genius in me was like, hey, you know, you could probably do this. I'm 11 years old. I know everything, right? So my parents didn't want to let me be away from them for so long, but, you know, I convinced them, and it was with my aunt, you know, trustworthy person. We weren't supposed to come to the beach. We lied about coming here. And so, you know, my aunt just thought we were going to walk around, you know, because I was with my older cousin. She was 16, so she was the adult, you know. And Dunkirk's a small town. It's chill, you know. I ended up telling everybody, hey, let's see who can go out the deepest. And, well, I won. I did go out the deepest, right? I got deeper and deeper. And then I noticed my toes were starting to come up off the ground a little bit. But I'm like, all right, I'll just tiptoe back. So then I got the water to the point where it was on my chin. And then the waves were so high I couldn't see back to the beach. And I started getting a little panicky. Like, oh shit, I couldn't get myself oriented to face the beach. And I finally did. And though I was still above water, I was nervous, but I was all right. And then I looked and everybody got out. Then I started to go forward and the waves were heavier and they would lift me up and drop me down. So you know how waves are, like, so I figured if I jump, maybe I can just go underwater and jump further forward and jump my way there and get a grasp of air every time I pop up, right? So when I would try to hop up underwater to grab air, I'd get to the top and I would get air, but the wave would just push me back. I started to realize that I was getting further out instead of closer to the beach. Now I'm starting to panic. I keep trying. That's all I got. I let myself go all the way down to the floor because I was already submerged where my head was underwater already. So I drop all the way down. I push up as much as I can. And now I'm no longer reaching the top for air. No, I started walking underwater. All these things going through my mind at 11 years old. I can walk. I'm just going through the things that I think I know. I'm walking. Good. I'm making progress. I'm moving forward. And then another wave comes and pushes me back again, right? And at this point, I'm holding my breath, and I can't hold my breath anymore. And the first thought that comes to my mind is, when my parents find out that I'm dead, they're going to freak. They're going to be so hurt. And it's going to be my fault because I begged them to let me go for the summer to Dunkirk. Then also because we lied about coming to the beach because we weren't supposed to because it was windy. And this is where it gets weird. I can't hold my breath anymore, and I just go... because the pain in the chest was so hard. If you ever drowned or been close to it, you know, the pressure gets really bad in your chest because you can't hold your breath anymore. If you hold your breath outside of water, you feel that pain. I take a breath and almost instantly pass out, right? I could feel the water rush through my body in the lungs. I could feel the water just fill my lungs up, and then I slowly fade away, almost like when you're on anesthesia, you know? What feels like forever goes by, and then next thing I know, I'm on the beach, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through it. So here is where we were playing, essentially, roughly, approximately. And then after I wake up, I end up what seems to be approximately right here, right? And over there, I see a group of people a crowd of people surrounding something. There's some commotion going on. I can see my cousin is freaking out. The older one, she's screaming. She's like, keep going, oh my God. The weird part is, this is the part that I feel, this was my outer body experience, you know. The weird part was, I was kind of confused. I wasn't like all there. I could see the crowd and I'm walking towards it out of curiosity, but in my mind, I have no panic. I'm super calm. I'm walking towards it. The crowd is like right there roughly. I'm walking towards it. And then when I get there, I'm behind the crowd now. There's people right here, right? So I try to go like this, excuse me, right? And I tell somebody, what's going on? And I try to go, excuse me. But I realize that when I go like this, I don't see my hand. And I look down and I don't see anything, not even a shadow, right? So then I keep going. And then I realize that I'm in my mind, even though I'm like not all there, I'm like, wow, I can walk through people, but I'm not panicking. I get close, I walk through the crowd, and I get to the front of the crowd. My cousin's like freaking out right here. She's going crazy, right? And I look down, and it's me and somebody doing CPR on me. So then, as soon as my body coughs up water, it's almost like it goes, whoosh, and I'm awake, right? It was basically like I was a few feet from my body, maybe my soul, spirit, essence, conscious. I'm not religious. You guys are all gonna say different versions of what you think it was. I'm a natural skeptic, right? So even though I experienced it, I still am not a 100% believer in a near-death experience, outer body experience, or the concept of it rather, the outer body. What I think could have happened, I mean, I believe it in the sense that I think that's what happened to me, but I feel like it's not some supernatural thing. It's just something scientific that I can't explain yet. From what I've studied as an adult and all that, it's possible that I was slowly regaining consciousness, and therefore I could hear what was happening in my mind, was just reconstructing an image in my mind before I woke up. But the way it felt didn't feel that way, right? Because I was able to tell my cousin what happened to her foot. She stepped on a rock and ended up getting stitches on her foot, freaking out barefoot on the stones, right? On the rocks. So that's a memory that's very specific. It's possible I reconstructed that in my mind based on what I was hearing, but that wouldn't make sense, because why would I hear that? I mean, why would I could hear her screaming, but I don't know what happened to her foot, right? Although, another possibility is I know what happened to her afterwards. So human memory is notoriously faulty, right? It's very possible that I took what I learned later and it fused with my memory of what happened. But either way, I appeared or woke up 20 feet or so from my own body, walked towards it, looked at it. I was unaware that I had just drowned while my floating consciousness is walking towards the crowd, right? At that moment, I don't have a memory that I just drowned. I'm just curious, and I feel super calm, So when I looked at myself, I was surprised to see my own body, but it didn't scare me. And when I saw myself cough, it's like I immediately transferred it back into myself. Then I woke up, went to the hospital in Buffalo. I was the first time and only time in a helicopter. They put me in this little thing, and they flew me to Buffalo because Dunkirk is a small town, and they wanted to treat me over there. They did x-rays and whatever it is that they do, I really don't know. And they said I had no water in my lungs, which seemed crazy, My dad's a pastor, so of course his version of this is different than mine. But, I just like sharing this because it's neat. Me as a natural skeptic, I still like having this story. Probably the only interesting thing about me. Even though I don't believe in anything, in my mind, it's not a belief. I know there's nothing supernatural. I still feel like it's a physiological, scientific thing that we just haven't quite understood yet, right? Now, I subscribe to the idea that it was a hallucination I had because I was almost going to wake up. But they said I was in the water, and from the point that I was in the water to when I woke up, they said it was about approximately 9 to 11 minutes. 5 to 6 minutes is enough to make you have brain damage. I mean, I am manic and OCD, so maybe that's where that came from. But there's no telling if I was technically without a heartbeat the whole time, without blood in my brain. But it's still, kind of a cool experience, if you could say that, and a cool memory to tell, and something I'll wonder to the day I die. But I'm 41 now. The sad part of this whole story is my cousin's boyfriend that she had met here, which was a guy she wasn't allowed to see, but he had came. He was from Puerto Rico, and a lot of people, if you're Puerto Rican from the island, like I am, although I was little, I never really lived there, you'll know that swimming is, everybody swims, right? You just know, you live on an island. So I'm like the exception. I can't fucking swim, The part that was sad was, since he wasn't never supposed to be around, as kids, we're still making the wrong decision, so we didn't want to tell my aunt he saved me, But we eventually had to tell my mom who did it. My mom's like, I don't care what happened, I'm just glad you're alive, whatever. So I never saw him again. Then 15 years later, I kind of learned that he had become an addict and just not a good person after that. He was 16 too at the time. But I guess he got into drugs and dealing drugs and stealing, and he ended up getting in jail. His name was Chungo. I never learned his real name. And then one day, I'm just going to search Facebook, and I searched Chungo. I never learned his real name. Got nothing. And then a few years later, I tried again. And one day, I search, and I finally get, it's 3 years ago, I get a hit, and it says Chungo. It says current city, Chicago, former city, Dunkirk, New York. I was like, what are the odds?
So I write him, and I was like, hey, did you ever date, so-and-so back in the 90s? You remember a situation where you had to like go out and swim and save this kid? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, hey, that's me, man. And then we talked for a while on Facebook. He was not, I just told him, hey, I don't know how your life has gone, but I want to say thank you. And he says, my life has been shit. I threw my life away. I wasted my entire life. He was like, I'm in my 40s now, live in Chicago. I'm finally clean, but I wasted my youth doing nothing with myself. And then he was like, I was like, hey man, no matter what happens, you should know that you saved my life. I wouldn't be here without you. And he goes, yeah, well, at least I did something good in my life. And he just didn't receive me with any enjoyment. He didn't, and it made me sad for him because I'm the kind of person that believes, your life is comprised of your own choices. So my empathy can be, varying, but I owe him personally my life. So it was sad to see that he didn't do much for himself. And then even though he was doing better at the time that I spoke to him, it was sad that, to me, it felt sad that I owe him everything and it wasn't enough to make him feel, proud of himself in any capacity. But yeah, so that's my story. Let me know your experiences or comments or replies or ideas or thoughts or interpretations. And I made a little Sora video. I'm thinking I'm gonna chop back into this video, which, you're gonna see the finished product after I'm done talking, right? But I'm gonna spice it back into this video as I talk. It was like a pseudo interpretation of my memory of it with Sora, I even made the kid a little chubby, because I'm, All right, guys, thanks.
Come on! It's warm! Wait up! Don't just watch! I'm coming! Let's make it a game! See who can go farthest without giving up! You're on! Bet I win! Not a chance! Ready? Come back now!
Kids, stay with me.
Please,
1, 2,
please,
3, 4.
please.
Come on. Easy, spit it out. There you go. Is he okay?
Give him some room.
You're safe now. Just breathe for me. Slow breaths. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Stay still. You're